Go to the front page of the Times now, Josh.
Yes, so they've also gone with something to do with the SNP and Yousaf. But there's a Labour eyes seat after Yousaf wins SNP contest. They think that they can win back 20 seats. So they're very excited about this. And I think there's an interesting dynamic now because so far they've been sort of wanting an election. Labour has been wanting this election quite soon to capitalise on all of the Tories' mishaps and whatnot and their unpopularity, which seems to be slowly being clawed back, which is why Rishi Sunak wants desperately to make it as long as possible to see if he can catch up in time. But now, because Labour could do well in Scotland, actually they have an incentive to also be pushing it back further, because it seems like the longer that Yousaf is in charge, he's going to sort of drive more voters back to Labour.
He's going to be the opposite of Rishi Sunak, who has calmed everyone down. Yousaf is going to be divisive.
Yeah, and exactly that. I think give Yousaf a year and Labour will have more seats in Scotland. They're not going to go to the Tories, and already I should imagine there's a few SNP members or voters that would consider changing.
Because he didn't have... It wasn't a decisive victory, but then I wasn't really following it beforehand. 52-48, of course, this channel regards 52-48 as a sacred ratio, doesn't it, virtually? But, I mean, it does seem to be the devil's ratio, doesn't it? It just seems to come up again and again. And I say again. I'm sure I have seen
it. And that 48% are definitely the most clever.
Yeah. Don't tweet me!
Well, to be fair, I think Kate Forbes would have been a very, very good leader for the SNP.
I quite agree.
And I'm a unionist, so I was quite glad that she didn't. I'm very glad to see Humza Yousaf.
It's quite interesting how she was the one who was pilloried and attacked for bigotry, essentially, for her religious views, which... there's a guy called Alan Massey, I think his name is Alex Massey, who writes for The Spectator. He writes a Substack as well, which was excellent, very detailed about the history of the Kirk, that particular branch of really quite unreconstructed, unreformed Protestant Christian belief of which he is a part, and how it was absolutely central to Scotland's destiny and its resistance to Westminster's powers and so on. It was the defining character of Scottish nationalism for decades, if not centuries, and it has suddenly become completely unacceptable.
Well, it became this big deal, and then Yousaf turns out that he'd not been at the vote himself, and had sort of come up with these excuses that he had a meeting and whatnot, but it was all a little
It's interesting how different religions at different times are subject to different degrees of interrogation to some extent. You've got one other story in the Times we should try and hit before we go on.